Okay, good morning, everyone. It's very nice to see you all coming in here. I guess we give just another 20 seconds because I see a lot of people are still coming into the room. So just a few seconds and then we can kick off. Okay, I think we can start slowly with a short introduction and housekeeping, and then even more of you will be joining. So my name is Justina. I'm a part of Digital Skills and Jobs platform Secretariat, and we are hosting this Digital Europe program Info Day today, focusing on the Call 8, Advanced Digital Skills. So today, maybe next slide, please. Today we will have a short introduction. After this, an introduction to the Sectoral Digital Skills Academies call. And then we will have an overview of all the free calls of the academies specifically. After that, we will jump to questions and answer session where all of you can ask your questions. And we will have then more practical information about registering organization, application procedure, lump sum, step still, and some more questions and answers from your side. Just before we begin, next slide, please. We have a couple of housekeeping rules and, of course, our important objectives. So I guess we don't need to detail on that. If you're here, you know. Basically, the goal today is for you to know more about Digital Europe program and specifically about AIF Open Call, to get your questions answered or at least see them later in frequently asked questions section in the funding tenders portal and see the answers there. And of course, to network, to find partners, to join later Digital Skills and Jobs platform to discuss with potential partners and submit your proposals. So thank you. Next slide, please. It's important for you to remember this because this is how we will run this entire day today. So first of all, the session is being recorded, and of course you will get the recording link and the slides later on. They will be made available for you, and privacy policy was provided for you upon registration. If you have questions, do not hesitate to contact our colleagues. Your microphone and camera will be switched off all the time because you are in webinar mode. However, all your questions should be asked in the chat in writing. So once we will have Q&A sessions, please write in the chat. And please do not forget to put your name and email. Please, once again, name and email. We need that so that we could also later answer your questions personally to you, because probably we will have too many of them. So if we don't manage to answer them today in the session, we will also pick it up and we will email to you with the answers as well. So please do not forget to put name and email address. And finally, since we really care about your data privacy, we would like to kindly ask you not to use AI note-taking tools. This is also not needed because, as I said, session will be recorded, recording will be available online. All the questions will also be included in writing. And finally, you will also get a link with the presentation as well. So do not worry about this, and I think there is no need of AI today. So having said that, I think we can jump already to the next slide as well. And it's my pleasure to give now a floor to Jean-Francois Junger, who will welcome all of you.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you all, and I see a massive number of people attending the meeting. That's a very good success, and make sure that our call is visible and people will be submitting excellent proposals for us. So today you will have information about calls within the DEP, the Digital Euro program. It's a very important program that the Commission has launched back in 2021, aimed at ensuring the deployment and the setting up of infrastructure in the digital world where strategic autonomy was required. And the objective of the DEP was to launch this in very few, very well targeted domains: AI, high-performance computing, cybersecurity, but also in the semiconductor world to make sure that the European Union gain sufficient autonomy in those fields to be in the leading role. This clearly will not work unless we also have the specific skills required for this. And this is why the DEP also included a strategic objective on the skills. Today, we will explain you the different topics we have in the digital skills for the 2025 Goal 8. You will see that they address topics such as quantum, AI, and the virtual reality. So we will take time, and the colleagues from DigiConnect will take time to explain you exactly what we have in mind, what we're looking for, and why we're looking for that, so that your proposal should address those elements. And please really make sure that you raise questions to make sure that you cover what we are aiming for and what we're calling for. There is nothing more frustrating for us, but also for you, clearly, to see a proposal that is submitted and it fails for obvious reasons. So today is really the opportunity for you to make sure that you understand exactly what we want, what we are aiming for, so that your proposal will address that specifically. We will also take time to explain you how to submit a proposal. For those of you who are familiar with the process, still pay attention because there are continuously evolution and small changes. We have, for instance, we will be using the lump sum mechanism, so make sure that you do understand exactly the lump sum mechanism that will be used and by the different calls. So I will not speak longer. Again, raise your question, don't be shy, take the opportunity. You have direct contact now with the Commission and the HaDEA staff, so it's for you the best opportunity to get all your questions answered and clarified. So I wish you all a very fruitful information morning and session, and I give you the floor back to you for the first speakers. I will not speak longer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean-Francois, for introducing us today. So I guess we also don't need to take it much longer. We can already jump into the first presentation, going deeper into the call. So we will have today Nadia Kernchen presenting overall call on Sectoral Digital Skills Academies. And after Nadia, we will go more in details with each specific call. So Nadia, please, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for showing interest in our calls and all attending on this Friday morning. We've been working hard to publish the calls in time and to come up with topics that are really relevant to the needs of the EU companies in the education and skills sector. So we're very happy to see so much interest today. My name is Nadia Kernchen. I am in DG Connect, a policy officer in the unit G2, Interactive Technologies and Digital for Culture and Education. And we are coordinating the whole specific objective 4 of the digital program. So designing the work program together with the stakeholder community and the member states. And when we were in discussions with, well, I'm here to give you, maybe to preface this a bit of a general overview of our aims and what we have in mind, and with the Digital Skills Academies and a couple of notes about elements that they share before then my Connect colleagues will all each go into detail about each of the different academies and the topics. So when we were designing the work program, of course, one major concern was really to figure out what is the role of skills in strengthening the competitiveness of the EU and also strengthen the innovation capacity of EU companies. So we're really thinking about what we can actually do to respond to this need to have really a more strategic approach to skills policy, and also to target the project and calls more to the needs of the companies and industry. So the Commission then has adopted the Union of Skills package earlier this year in March. And in this package, we've announced the launch of 4 new digital skills academies, one in AI, one in quantum, one in virtual worlds, and one in semiconductors. The one in semiconductors will be called for only 2027, but the other 3 are going to be set up this year, which is why we are here today. And those are really the flagship initiatives that we have within the digital program in the next coming 3 years. So it's really about scaling up the work that we've been done so far with all of the different calls that we've had in the past, and also the Cybersecurity Skills Academy, which is a digital skills academy that has already been set up. I've put a bit of an... Wait, can you move to the next slide, please?
I think colleagues are trying to move. This file was a bit heavy, so sometimes it gets stuck for a few seconds. So please do not worry. It will jump in a minute.
It's fine. I've just put a little bit of an extract of the Union of Skills there to see for you to see how the academies were introduced, but you can have a look at it later. So in terms of approach, these academies are really a move towards a much more coordinated effort than we've had in the past in our skills funding. I'm assuming that probably a lot of the people who are attending right now are familiar with our calls, probably have participated in one or the other call. Over the past 4 years, we funded the development of a lot of higher education programs in various digital domains and also short-term trainings. Under the Erasmus Plus program, the colleagues from DG EAC and DG EMPL have also, at different points in time, funded trainings and education in digital domains. So there's really a vast pool of EU-funded projects, and then, of course, also national initiatives that target the question of how can we support industry and companies in acquiring or in upskilling, reskilling the employees to really have the skills needed to drive forward the digital transition. But now the next step for us is really to put in place a mechanism to capitalize on the existing projects that are there, and to tackle this sort of fragmentation that is present, not just in our funding, but also in all of the national initiatives. The approach is also really focused on emerging skills shortages and better alignment with labor market needs. And also there's this element of ensuring skills portability, micro-credentials, different forms of certification, joint degrees, etc. This, of course, it's an aspect that's not just unique to digital skills, but given the change of transformation and how fast new technologies emerge, it's important to kind of make sure that skill stacks can be assembled and transferred basically to different occupations. Okay, the slides are back, I see. Right, okay, so in terms of objectives, it's really about complementing existing actions and initiatives in the 3 domains, so quantum, AI, and virtual worlds, and then really to leverage industry, bring industry in to help closing the gap and strengthen the pool of ICT specialists. So it's about identifying gaps in the existing academic and also training offers, and then developing new ones to fill those gaps, scaling up successful ones, trainings that already exist. This is the element where you can bring in industry to help scale up trainings, mechanisms that work. So really overall, I would say to propose an up-to-date and flexible education and training pathway, which is easier said than done, but of course it's the overall objective. Then to create really sectoral ecosystems. So this is really this element of coordination and cooperation, bringing in what exists already, and then trying really to scale it, promoting the uptakes of training, promoting fellowships, promoting curricula that have been developed. So ensuring that reuse is there, and that not everybody is reinventing the wheel every time. It's also about promoting careers, so really making sure that young people know how attractive digital careers are, especially also in terms of facilitating the access for girls and women to digital careers. And then, of course, also devising international partnerships and attracting foreign talent. This is a very timely discussion, I think. As everybody knows, it's really also about figuring out how can we attract third country talent, how can we attract or how can we bring back EU talent that has maybe left to work in the US, in other parts of the world. So those are really, I would say, the general objectives. And then one sentence I also wanted to say, these are 3 different skills academies and in 3 different sectors. And of course, all of the sectors have different needs. So each of the scope will be a bit different, and the colleagues will explain this. But overall, there is some sort of common approach in terms of design and delivery centered around 3 pillars. So you will see 3 pillars. It's about education, it's about building the ecosystem, and then about measuring progress. So you will see that occur in all of the 3 academies. I wanted to make a couple of general remarks also. So we've had a bit of a couple of questions already here and there about the question of governance. So what is the expected governance structure of the academies? So we're not implying or proposing any specific governance structure. So if you look at the Cybersecurity Skills Academy, for example, there a couple of member states are currently exploring whether or not they can set up an EDIC to support the academy. But that is by no means, it's just an example of how governance of an academy and also long-term sustainability for an academy could look like. But there's, well, I won't say a million, but there's a couple of other ways of how you can do it. So we're not proposing any specific governance structure for the academies. And then another remark I want to make is about focusing on accreditation. So this is just basically a learning from past project that we have had and that the HaDEA colleagues have had, is that it has, well, for most of the projects, it was very obvious, or that it's very helpful to think about accreditation as early as possible. So ideally already at the stage of forming consortia. This is of course most relevant for the question of whether or not you want to go for joint degrees in higher education programs, because all of the academies have this element of higher education programs in them as well. So of course we recommend joint degrees, but in case you go for a joint degree, or also for any other types of cooperation for the degrees, it is advisable to think as early as possible about how you want to do this when setting up the work packages, etc. Really think about how much time you need, what kind of accreditation mechanism you will have to go through, what the requirements are for this. So this is just a bit of a past learning that we've had over the past 4 years, I think, from the projects that we've funded. Yes, then I have a couple of useful links. If you can move to the next slide. Just a short overview. So I've linked the digital work program, the current one, where you can find information about also other programs, other projects that will be called in the future in the digital program under SO4. I've linked the Union of Skills. And then we also have a brochure about the projects that we have funded under digital SO4 in the past. So there you can really see, for example, in terms of AI, what kind of AI masters, what kind of AI short-term trainings have we been funding under digital to facilitate a bit this element of coordination and cooperation and bringing in what is already in this whole ecosystem of education and training. There's of course also some EU projects that are funded under other funding mechanisms, Erasmus+, etc. So I've linked the large-scale partnership for digital ecosystem. There you can also find a couple of things that are going on, projects, initiatives that are outside of digital. Then I've linked the LEADS 2030 project page. Most of you will probably be familiar with them. LEADS is a coordination and support action that is also funded under SO4. under the digital program, and they are coordinating kind of this whole stack of projects. So very useful website. Go have a look there. You can also see an overview of the projects they have actually done. The brochure that is linked above. They also have some information on accreditation, some best practices. So I recommend going and having a look at the website. Same for the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, of course, who we are very thankful for that they are hosting this info day today. There's a massive amount of resources there, so also have a look at the page. I haven't linked it, but I think everybody knows it. Then the Cybersecurity Skills Academy. They have a landing page on the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, which I have linked here. So there you can see a bit how this kind of landing page could look like, because all of the academies will be required to have a similar landing page. Yes, then I've linked the blueprint of the European degree, just a bit of background on accreditation topic in terms of higher education programs. And then the last link you see is an FAQ document on key performance indicators, because when the digital program was set up, a couple of key performance indicators were defined to measure each year the impact of the whole program. Out of those indicators, 2 of them are relevant for you to monitor for your projects. So we've made an FAQ document, and we share this with all of the SO4 projects, all of the interested parties, just that you can see what kind of monitoring outside of the KPIs that you set yourself for your projects will be expected from you during the lifetime of the project. So this is just so that there's no surprises afterwards. We've learned that it's better to just, for early onwards, have a bit of information about those indicators. They also referenced, of course, in the call text, but there you can find a bit more information. I think I have gone over my time, so this is it from me now. But of course, if you have any general questions, put them in the chat, and I will try to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadia. I hope that it will really help all our participants today once we got this understanding from you what are the larger objectives and with what background do these calls come from. So that, I believe, was very, very helpful and very insightful for the audience. Also, thank you for some special notes that you added. Just because I see quite some questions about this in the chat, you managed to see most of the slides that were prepared there, other than some short quotes that were taken from also Digital Europe's program, I believe, text. So do not worry, you did not miss something when the first slides were not displayed, and you will receive them. And I saw that some people really very interested in specific insights, Nadia, that you proposed from your side. You also approached double pro degree programs and so on. These were not very specifically detailed. It was something kindly shared from Nadia's point of view. And those of you in the audience who would like to hear more on that, once again, you will get the recording. So do not worry about it. So with this, thank you once again, Nadia. I think it really triggered a lot of interest from what I see in the chat. And since indeed we don't have so much time, we will now go to presentations of each specific call, each specific academy, starting with quantum skills. And meanwhile, I ask all of you, if you have questions during this presentation, please put them in the chat. I see many of you are doing this correctly already, so please just keep that same pace and procedure. Put your name, your email address, and your question. Please focus now on specific questions for Quantum Academy, and then we will have, after this presentation, some time to answer them. So Paraskevi Ganotti is today here to shed some light on Quantum Skills Academy. Paraskevi, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. So my name is Paraskevi Ganotti. I'm a policy officer in DigiConnect in the unit of quantum technologies. And today I'm going to present you the Sectoral Digital Skill Academy, the quantum one. So if you go next slide, please. Okay, so the objectives broadly of this Quantum Skills Digital Academy is to contribute to the objectives of the European Declaration of Quantum Technologies in the domain of education, skills and training. So this, you may know, the European Declaration of Quantum Technology was signed last year by the vast majority of the member states. And it is to set the importance of these kind of technologies for Europe in the next years. The Quantum Skills Digital Academies to provide specialized quantum technologies training, but also hands-on experience at different quantum education levels. And by this, we mean starting from students, professionals, people who want to upskill themselves, reskill people in industries, CEOs, and people who are in position of decision making. The Academy will identify gaps in existing academic and training activities in the quantum sector. It will develop new opportunities, scale up successful examples, and create a quantum education ecosystem. Next slide, please. So the expected outcomes is, first of all, to design and deliver at least one educational program at level 7 or 8, and also design and deliver educational programs and self-standing training modules covering both technical and non-technical profiles. We want collaboration between academia, industry, including SMEs, RTOs, training institutions, and we want to see offering of hands-on training experience, organization of career events in collaboration with industry, traineeships, summer schools, whatever you can imagine. And of course, one important part is outreach activities targeting a wide range of ages and educational levels, starting from high school students, and try to attract people in this domain, and especially assuring gender balance. So we want proposals that are ambitious in terms of training offering and of course of number of students trained. Next slide, please. So for the type of stakeholders, what it is required is at least 3 degree awarding higher education institutions from 3 different eligible countries. And on top of that, 2 industry partners from eligible countries. So this means that the industry partners from eligible countries must also be in countries where the higher education degrees are. So it's not that they have to be in completely different countries than those of the higher education institutions. But of course, think of geographical spread, which is highly recommended. And in this aspect, we would like and we highly recommend to have at least one higher education or RTO from widening countries, as these are defined in the Horizon Europe work program. Particular attention should be paid to the inclusion of industry partners, startups, SMEs, other public or private entities that can be instrumental from the delivery of the actions, and the collaboration with other stakeholders that provide technical expertise and experimentation and testing facilities. Next slide, please. Other project to consider. So we want this academy to build on the current initiatives and projects that we have. You can see these 2 calls that we have from the past, and these are 2 projects that are running right now, QT Indo and DGQ. But also we want this academy to collaborate with the Quantum Flagship projects. The Quantum Flagship is an ambitious funding initiative for funding quantum technologies started in 2018 with €1 billion. and for 10 years. And also we want this academy to collaborate with the European Quantum Excellence Centers. So these are two projects that are managed by the EuroHPC, JU, and they are expected to start soon, or even they have already started. Next slide, please. The Academy also is expected to coordinate with the European League of Advanced Digital Skill Academies. This will be a CSA in the second round, of course, of 2025, but also with the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. And the budget for this is 10 million, is a lump sum grant, and 50% is the funding rate, and we expect to have one successful proposal. Next slide, please. So just for the background, already Nadia has provided a lot of very useful links, but just I put here the one of the Digital Decade Policy Program and the Union of Skills. And regarding the thematic ecosystem, please visit our quantum flagship website, QT.edu, and the European Quantum Readiness Centers. You can find a lot of information there about what we are doing, the projects that are running, but also information on specific educational skills initiatives, the masters that are currently running in Europe, etc. Next slide, please. And with this, I would like to advertise a dedicated 1-hour info session for quantum only and for interested stakeholders on June 2nd at 2 p.m. This is just to complement this session and help the applicants while they are drafting the proposals in case they have questions, that we can go more in detail, but also being transparent and so that is why we call for this extra info day, and please register if you are interested. And with this, I finish my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Paraskevi, for your presentation. We have a couple of minutes to answer a few of the questions. So one of the questions is asking, what about national co-funding? How this should be handled and wherever it falls under the minimis regulation?
I think that for the national funding, the academies, this call will fund the 50% of the 50% of the budget. So the remaining budget is to be defined by the consortium. So wherever they can use national funding, yeah, I think it's up to them.
Okay, thank you. We have another question asking about the higher education institutions located in third countries not associated to the program. So third countries that are not associated. Are we eligible to join consortia and are we eligible for funding?
I think this we will have generally to address these questions for all academies. I don't really know the specifications. I think that eligible countries are the one defined in the DEPA projects, and I think that we need to go more in detail to the document in order to answer this question, with accuracy.
Perfect, thank you. So do not worry for all the questions where you need additional details. You will also be able to see later frequently asked questions and responses in writing. So please, in the audience, if you don't hear your question asked or you need more specific details, it will come to you later. Then we have a lot of questions here about possibilities of networking. So many of you were asking. Of course, you're welcome to go to Digital Skills and Jobs platform and use available groups there to discuss with potential partners. And in addition to this, there will be a matchmaking specifically for this organized for you in a couple of weeks. But we will speak more about this in the end. It's just that I saw that many of you are putting these questions in the chat. I think it was useful to note that. And I think we have a lot of questions now already coming in for GenAI. So I guess we have to thank you, Paraskevi, very much for your presentation and for answering questions. And I ask all the others asking already about GenAI a few more minutes of patience. Some of your questions will be now answered in presentation by Julia Carsaniga. But also, if you don't hear them answered, of course, please continue using chat, writing your name, email address, and the question. So, Julia, I will give floor to you, and I already see there are already questions coming to you. I see she has some connection problems, so perhaps we can exchange the order and maybe start then with Virtual World Skills Academy until Julia's connection is fixed. I guess that would be okay as well. So please, with GenAI questions, I'm sorry, but you will have to wait for a few more moments. And then we will switch the order, and I will ask Andrea Popescu-Eladraui. If Andrea, you are ready to present now?
Yes, sure.
Perfect.
Yes,
so we go with
ahead.
virtual worlds then for now, and then we will get back to GenAI as soon as Julia has no more connection problems. So feel free to go ahead, Andrea.
Yes, could you, okay, the slides.
Yeah, we will just turn to your slide.
Hello, my name is Andrea Popescu-Eladraui. I'm working as Nadia in DigiConnect G2, and I'm responsible for the Virtual World Skills Academy. And I do hope that my presentation will be as exciting as the most expected AI Skills Academy. I think this is a very interesting ground for future proposals, virtual worlds. So yes, please, next slide. So we'll dive right into it. Starting with the objective. So what do we aim? What do we aim with this academy? So first of all is to ensure coherence. So as it was said in the beginning, and my colleagues said, tapping into the relevant academic and training offers, streamlining them, scaling up existing initiatives, and also identifying successful such initiatives, but also the gaps that are out there. Are the basis, the foundation to develop a new corpus of updated and constantly updatable new programs and curricula in the virtual world skills domain. Of course, this process is going to go alongside the current virtual worlds initiatives and actions, especially involving industry. So the idea is to have something coherent, unified in this direction, in the teaching of virtual worlds skills. Another objective is to introduce a reference model, to have a competence and qualification framework for education and training in virtual worlds that can ensure qualification standards for different students or trainee categories, for different job profiles that are out there, or professional roles, because the domain is extremely complex and rich. So there are a multitude of such roles and categories. Another objective is to harmonize training So the Academy is going to propose a catalog of education and training curricula and programs for virtual worlds domain of expertise for a large variety of target groups. And of course, it's going to develop, managing and maintain it in the long run. So this catalog. Another objective is to catalyze efforts to create an actual ecosystem of EU stakeholders involved in teaching disciplines related to virtual worlds technologies. Next slide, please. Now, an overview with the scope. So the three pillars are there for all the sectoral advanced digital skills academy. So I'll perhaps focus just on the specific aspects of the virtual world technology. So under pillar 1, knowledge, education and training, there is this content aspect of the virtual worlds domain, which is complex. It has 3 sets of disciplines embedded in it. I will come back in a separate slide later. There is the competence and qualification framework that I've talked earlier about. So what it is meant by this framework. So it will present the qualifications and competencies required in pursuing different learning paths according to the needs of the different profiles, the different professionals, and different careers by graduates, by young graduates. And this first of all, needs to be in line with the EU industry needs. Concerning the quality educational standards, this will be approached globally for all the academies. So it will not enter the spectrum of this framework, but it's going to have a larger range. The framework needs to be built upon up-to-date reports, studies, analysis, trend forecasts concerning advanced digital skills. And it also needs to be in alignment with EU policies and guidelines. So that's a very important aspect. Also under this pillar, you will find the details on the catalog that we expect to have, a catalog of education and training curricula and programs for virtual worlds. So this catalog will need to incorporate and coordinate, as I said, existing academic education programs, but also professional training programs, modules, short-term courses, but also resources, learning material of any sort. And where gaps are identified from the conceptual point of view, the consortium is expected to fill in these gaps with new courses. About the target groups, I will talk a bit later in a separate slide. So briefly under pillar 2, building the ecosystems, it's very important to remember synergies. It's a point of focus, synergies with other EU-wide ongoing initiatives and schemes. So we expect to have those covered in the proposals. The constant collaboration with Elevate, this coordinating action that is going to be launched soon and that will take care of streamlining actions for all the academies. Attracting and retaining talent, especially women. That's another important aspect to be careful about. The sustainability is also expected. We expect as a deliverable actually to have a sustainability plan to see how the academy is going to develop beyond the 4 years of the project. And of course, the ecosystem stakeholders at the center of attention, I will come to them later. And pillar 3, of course, measuring programs through monitoring labor market and the progress achieved in closing the virtual world's skills gap. So overall, this is the scope. So now we'll go into details on the elements that I pointed out. The deliverables that you will find in the call text are very much aligned to the requirements defined in the scope. So I will not speak directly about these deliverables. Next slide, please. So first and foremost, the content aspects. So on the pillar one, I thought the core elements content-wise are the three virtual worlds key building blocks. So because of course, the first question is what can we understand by virtual worlds? What do we need to consider when thinking about virtual worlds? Well, it's an interdisciplinary approach. It is a intermingling between three sets of disciplines. So the technology side, the innovative technologies such as XR, blockchain, AI, edge computing, digital twins, and so on. It's the creative part, creative subjects as audiovisual, animation, game design. And it's also social sciences and humanities, which need to be in that, especially ethics aspect, the law aspect, copyright, for example. So all these aspects will form the underlying foundation for the competence and qualification framework and for the catalog of education and training curricula and programs for virtual worlds. Next slide, please. Now, at the core of this initiative, also you'll find them under pillar one of the scope, the target groups. So they are the main beneficiaries of all these efforts. So what are the target groups? In this case, there are 6 categories. So you will see the number correspond to what you will be finding in the call text. So we have the higher education students and young graduates. We have the upper secondary and or vet students, the academic staff, the teaching staff in other education institutions, the professionals in different sectors and institution types. And here I'm talking about, as example, in automotive, they are using a lot, for example, virtual reality, in agriculture, in health. So there are a lot of professionals out there that are expected to be upskilled or reskilled in order to be able to operate in virtual worlds. And the industry needs a lot of professionals able to do this. The 6th category, the citizens, of course, the citizens need to have basic skills to know how to enter virtual worlds, what expects them there, and so on. So they need a bit of basic trainings. So what is important to remember here is that the proposals are supposed to tackle all these target groups. So they need to propose programs and trainings and learning activities for all the 6 categories. Now, also this corpus of programs and activities need to be first of all adopted by the consortium partners. So they will be the first ones to develop and also teach, deliver them. There are 2 perhaps or 3 concrete figures about it. So it is expected to have at least 1 higher education program leading to a degree and starting 2 program cycles. So this is really specific for the higher education. And if possible, at least 1 vocational program. And as concerns the professional in different sectors, this is something quite which deserves quite a specific particular attention, because there is an increased need for digital skills proficiency in various fields out there. So what is expected is to propose a concrete cluster of trainings either related to a specific professional area, either tackling one or a set of specific technology. So it is expected to have set of modules, training activities in a coherent way, presented in a coherent way for us, one of these clusters. Of course, any types of category, as long as it makes sense, are acceptable. So this is an aspect I wanted to point out. And I think, yeah, we can go to the next slide now. Pillar 2, building the ecosystem, the stakeholders. So also very important, it is important to gather around the EU stakeholders active in teaching virtual world skills, so whatever they may be. So we try to cover a whole range here, so from the obvious ones, higher education institution and upper secondary schools, research organizations, also to NGOs, associations, so education service providers, so all types of organizations that deal with education and training in virtual worlds skills. Next slide, please. So we have talked about the very concrete matter of the call text, but now maybe a look forward into the future. What do we expect to have in the future, the outcomes? So we expect that this the framework, the competence and qualification framework, becomes a reference for teaching virtual world skills. So first of all, the consortium partners need to be the first adopters of this framework, and they are expected to promote this framework further on so that it be adopted by other institutions of the same sort. We also aspire to really have at EU level a workforce mastering virtual world skills and able to boost Europe's competitiveness and innovation capacity. So that means actual results. So that means actual figures. So the more ambitious the number of students, the number of completed programs there are in the proposals, the better they will be assessed, obviously, because this forward-looking perspective is very important to keep in mind when submitting these proposals. And also another outcome would be to have obviously a better balance between demand and offer of virtual skills. So therefore, industry needs to be present from the design of the programs and curricula and design of the framework throughout the whole education process. So industry should be there to propose traineeships, summer school, or any kind of activities to support this process. Also, in terms of teaching or upskilling and reskilling professionals, it is very important to have constant exchanges with the respective industries, between academy and the respective industries. So I think that would be all. Next slide, please. In terms of general information, I will perhaps not get into the details that you'll be seeing later on. Perhaps just a couple of words of the consortium.
Yes, Andrea, if you can be very quick.
Sorry?
Because we need to leave a few minutes for questions, so if you can be very quick.
Yes, Of course, of course. No, so I will perhaps just skip this slide because you will see it. The important points would be really to the consortium composition with 3 higher education institutions, 2 industry partners in 2 eligible countries, a minimum of research organization, and also the encouragement of SMEs, startups, and vet providers. So that would be all on my side. Sorry, I exceeded a bit my time. So next slide. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions if I can.
Thank you, Andrea. Even though you took a bit longer, but no worries, because you actually, while you were speaking, you answered some of the questions that we see in the chat. For example, that you expect to fund 1 project, that you do expect industry participation. So I saw questions on that, but you already rightly clarified. Just before I start asking questions, could we please make sure that Julia is available and her microphone works so that we can smoothly later go to next presentation?
I am.
Julia, can you? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so just a few more questions and then your turn will be here. So let's start with questions. There is a question about a minimum requirement of minimum 1 higher education program leading to a degree, or also encouraged to provide vocational program, right? That was what you presented. And we have a question if you have any specification of what educational level should that be, because in other academies there is highlighted that it should be masters or PhDs. So what is the expectation in case of virtual worlds?
There's not a specific, of course, master would be recommended, master degree, but it is at the choice of the applicants to propose something.
And another question was, can entity participate in more than 1 proposal, or even in more than 1 proposal among all the academies? So for example, in virtual worlds, but also GenAI?
This is a more general question. I suppose is more. I suppose this is possible, but it's up to my colleagues, perhaps from HaDEA, to clarify this administrative question. I suppose it could be the case, but I'd rather not commit.
I can quickly confirm it's possible to participate in several proposals. Yes.
Oh, thanks, Maria.
Perfect. Another question asks, would you expect applicants to integrate green development and ecological footprint issues, also in relation with strategic autonomy, sovereignty?
Yes, very much so. This is an excellent question. Yes, it is. It is very much recommended to have these aspects included. They are under a more general spectrum, so that's why I perhaps did not mention them, but they are very much present as an underlying requirement, an underlying idea. So yes.
Thank you. And I guess we jump into the last question. So I think you spoke a bit on this, but perhaps you could highlight, because I saw this question came after you spoke about it. So maybe still people want clarification. So people here highlighted that it's expected to include innovative technologies, and you even mentioned some of them. So should we choose some of the technologies that we want to cover, prioritize some of them, or would it be the best that all of them that are mentioned will be covered?
No, it's not specified to have a specific ones. The ones that are that match to the entirety of the proposal. So it's there's no preference. It should be valid in the context of virtual worlds, on the context of teaching skills in virtual worlds. So as long as it fits this criterion, it's not necessary to have a specific innovative technologies or not, but it should be an innovative technology. So yeah, this is to
Perfect.
reply to
Thank
this
you
question.
very much, Andrea.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your presentation and your replies. I hope it was indeed very, very helpful for the participants today. So thank you so much. And now we will finally get back to Digital Skills Academy in GenAI. I know that many of you had been waiting. So Julia, since we finally have you, please go ahead.
Yes, I will share my screen. You should be able to see now in a full screen modus.
Yeah, we see that it works well.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for the patience. Well, before delving into the details of the call, I have to do a disclaimer because the title of this call is a bit confusing, but we're talking here about the first part of what we will be calling the AI Skills Academy. So there will be one-stop shop for a range of activities supporting the development of educational and training schemes related to two areas: skills for the uptake and deployment of AI, and in particular generative AI in key sectors, and skills related to the development and deployment of AI models in the AI factories facilities. Yet what we are discussing today is only the first part. So the call refers to the part related to AI and generative AI. The second call will be later on, I think in Q4 2025, the one related to AI factories. However, these two parts will be collaborating very closely, and there should be the precise scope of the collaboration should be laid down in a collaboration agreement. The AI Skills Academy has mainly the objectives of, on the one hand, strengthening the pool of AI specialists in the EU, particularly in the field of generative AI, and on the other hand, addressing the current and future AI skills gap in key strategic sectors, which you can see on the screen and which are mentioned also on page 18 of the call. While pursuing these two goals, a key priority for the Academy is also to consider underrepresented groups in the AI workforce, in particular women, as well as promoting opportunities for Europeans living abroad. For this reason, you will also find in the outcomes and in deliverables specific KPIs to be reached, for example, in terms of minimum number of women to be involved in the given activity. Through its focus on sectors and on generative AI, the AI Skills Academy will be key in supporting the AI Innovation Package that we published in January 2024, the recently published AI Continent Action Plan, and the upcoming Apply AI strategy. It will also contribute, of course, to the Union of Skills and at the same time to the digital decade targets, especially in terms of increasing the number of ICT specialists and reaching gender convergence. As for the other academies that are presented today, the AI Skills Academy will have three main pillars of action, and now I'm going through them a bit more in detail. Pillar 1, knowledge, education and training, will enable to improve the educational and training offer around AI and GenAI to train and upskill new specialists and also reskill existing workforce. So that is why we have three main subsections here. The consortium should, first of all, complement existing information on the AI skills needs, so identify what is needed on the labor market side, what profiles and gaps. To do so, we really stress the fact we shouldn't reinvent a wheel, but we should consider what is already out there, especially. And we should link these to the European Classification of Skills, Competencies and Occupation, ESCO. The Pillar 1 also includes, as a second subsection, the design of, on the one hand, higher education curricula. And here there should be at least one certified degree program in the generative AI. I think it's recommended master program. We have also the need to design curricula that can be adopted by technical education and vocational training institutions. And here there is the need for at least one vocational training scheme to be delivered. And then the design also of on-the-job trainings, for which we mean ready-made training material that could be delivered both partially by the academy per se in the form of online trainings, but also could be taken up by companies or by public sector institutions. And in particular here we stress SMEs and startups facilitated access. Yes, I would like to stress here also that for all the above, it is recommended to also promoting women scholarships and returnship programs. We don't really impose specifically definitions of content, but for the definition of GenAI as an indication, please refer also to how this is defined in the AI Act. And in terms of levels, there will be different levels tackled according to the different types of content offered, but we need to keep in mind that we should we should have an employability angle and respond to the needs of the market. The call also stress synergies, not only here, also in other pillars, but it's very important to ensure synergies with other existing projects. Some of them are also specifically mentioned in the call. The second pillar, here we would like to really make sure that the AI Skills Academy is a catalyst for attracting and retaining European and international talent and connecting it to the labor market, including through matching the AI skills workers with jobs, but also communicating and disseminating opportunities. So here you will see on the one hand the subsection on, or the sub-activity to nurture a diverse and rich ecosystem of stakeholders around the academy, and offering the possibility, for instance, of attracting specific profiles such as researchers through fellowships programs. And on the other hand, you will see a second pillar being focused on the flagship activity of an AI apprenticeship, which would have the aim of preparing a pipeline of AI specialists ready to work in industries. And these will be then needed to be designed in strong collaboration with the industry, which will be also offering real-time data for these projects on which the apprentices should work. The final subsection, as said, is referred to more the need to have a communication campaign to showcase the opportunities of the academies, and reaching out to the main target groups, students and workers, but also trying to amplify, possibly leveraging also here synergies to reach to a wider public, and for instance also including high school students. Finally, pillar 3 is focusing on the progress and impact of the academy. So here the consortium will be required to develop and implement a robust methodology for measuring the impact KPIs reached, and on the other hand, also suggesting how the academy can be improved based on these, in particular looking at the sustainability of the project also beyond the EU funding. So here, once again, a summary of the must-haves, let's say, at least one higher education degree, at least one vocational training scheme, at least one on-the-job training program per profile and possibly per sector, and minimal requirements in terms of scholarship and returnships. In terms of the consortium, we strongly encourage to have at least 2 degree awarding higher education institutions to industry partners, and considering especially also involvement of SMEs and startups, and one independent research organization, and one vocational education and training institution. Mindful of time, I will just conclude by stressing some important takeaways. So the importance of having a consortium able to offer excellent educational training offer, to be able to successfully outreach to a high number of students, and also amplify the impact of the academy through multipliers. Leveraging the synergies with a wider ecosystem, and considering also the impact not just in the short term but also long term of this project. Finally, let me stress once again the importance of this employability angle and the fact of including the industry in the offering, but also in the designing per se of the academy, and having in mind fostering, of course, inclusiveness in terms of our geographical scope, but also in terms of diversity and gender convergence. For more details, I would suggest really to look also at the criteria of relevance, implementation, and impact, and the outcomes and deliverables. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Julia. We have a few questions to you, as already anticipated. So there are even a few different people connected and asking, should the academy tackle all the 12 sectors mentioned in the call, or should some of them be prioritized, and how that could be done if it's all of them, given that it's quite wide?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. So the sectors that were mentioned are sectors that are also of importance for some strategies that we are developing, among others, the Apply AI strategy, which will try to really foster the use of AI in these key sectors. So this is why they are there. We are totally aware of the fact that it might not be possible to tackle all of them. So this is still at the discretion of the consortium, and it could be maybe also defined throughout the project, also based on the results, for instance, of the Apply AI strategy, I would say.
Perfect, thank you. And then there is a question on what do you mean with exactly the vocational training scheme? Is it only formal training, or could it also cover some non-formal vocational education?
I think we don't specify this aspect. So I think ideally it would be formal vocational training. But as far as I remember, it is not specified in the call, so it could have a margin of of discretion for the consortium.
Thank you. And then there is also a question about accreditation of the proposed programs. Do you expect accreditation process be part of the proposal, and also the accreditation related costs can be part of the costs? And if there are any preferences of what type of accreditations would be expected?
Well, we specify for the pillar 1 of the different programs, for instance, that any higher education curricula needs to lead to a degree. So and also the self-standing module should lead to a certification. So this is part of what is required. Having said that, if I remember correctly, but maybe someone from the HaDEA or G2 team can confirm, the Elevate and Umbrella Action should also offer a certification scheme that will be used across the academies.
Okay, perfect. I think that's very helpful already. Then there is a question, how you envision the governance of academy? Should this be done by a European university, or perhaps I can make this question a bit wider. Are there any preferred ways how this should be governed, or it's up to consortium to explain in their proposal?
So we have specified quite some suggestion in terms of minimum number of and which type of consortium members. So I think I would consider that. We did not specify who should be coordinating the project exercise. So I think this is still at the discretion of the project. But I would like to underline the fact that we would like really to have this also employability angle and be able to have this strong connection with industry. So even in the case that the coordinator maybe is indeed a higher education institution, we should ensure that there is a good collaboration across the consortium and especially also the industry members.
And perhaps along similar lines, there is someone asking us if you could suggest what is the optimum mix of the partners within the consortium. You mentioned that industry should be involved. Do you think there is an ideal number of partners that should be involved, or it's up to applicants?
We did not suggest anything in this regard. I think as an experience, the larger the consortium, the more difficult it is to manage, as probably many of the attendants know, already involved in other projects. At the same time, we need to cover a lot of different points, as you have seen, possibly. So this should be kept in mind, maybe.
Perfect. So I think we are good with questions. Thank you so much, Julia. You did a great job because there were, I'm telling you, there was a lot of attention on GenAI. And I think a lot of participants here today will be applying from what is happening in the chat.
That is great.
So expect applications. Thank you very much. Here we will close the part getting into very, very specific calls. And we will have now more technical advice and explanations of how you can go ahead with your proposals and what does it all mean, how can you do that in practice. Please note that this part of the session, we will first have a few presentations, and at the end of all the presentations, we will answer your questions. So as done before, please write in the chat your name, your email address, and your question. And then these questions will be answered either at the end of all the presentations that you will see now, or by writing later. So I hope this is all clear. If needed, we will have some reminders to you in the chat. And we start our more technical tips, tricks, how-tos with presentation on your organization's registration, legal validation, and financial capacity assessment. So all the cornerstone parts when preparing to submit your proposal. I will invite Maria Domenica Cunidoro and Florian Puyu to guide you through this.
Hi.
Hi, Maria Domenica, we hear you.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you. Hold on, just put my presentation. Okay, super. Thank you very much. My name is Maria Domenica from the HaDEA Central Validation Service that is in the European Research Executive Agency. And today with my colleague Florian Puyu, we are going to show you, oops. We are going to show you how to register your organization in the participant register, the legal validation and the LEAR, and how the communication is carried out, and then the financial capacity assessment. First of all, we start with our service. What do we do in the legal validation service? We, against the supporting document, specific supporting documents that we request to the participants along the way, we verify the legal existence and legal status of the entity. We validate the appointment of the legal entity appointed representative, years. And we have many other tasks which are linked to the correct validation of each organization in the different systems. So the validation process overview is made of 4 stations. The first one is the registration of your organization. As you know, registering your organization is necessary for your project participation. So any organization has to register in the participant register and get their PIC, which is the participant identification code. So let's assume that I'm an organization and I want to submit a proposal. What do? First of all, I go in the participant register, which is in the funding and tenders portal, and I check whether or not my organization is already registered with the PIC in the system, valid or not valid. So I go in the find register organization. If my organization is there, so then I have to use the PIC of my organization. If not, I need to register the organization from scratch. So I click here in the register your organization field. This will start a workflow of several steps. We have identification of the organization. We need to put all the organization data that are requested. And then in the end, also, I can nominate other people that can access into the PIC. So I am the self-registrant, as I want to register my organization, I'm the self-registrant, and I can nominate other people to be my backup in case of I'm absent. Then the registration is completed and I will get my participation identification code, the PIC number, in a declared status. Then the next step is the validation of the legal data. The registration data is verified by the Central Validation Service, so by our service, and this is done before the signature of the first grant agreement or contract. The legal validation is done once, and once the PIC is validated, it can be reused again. There is no need to create a new PIC for the next participation. This is an overview. In this page, you have an overview of the main documents that we request for the registration of your entity in the system. The third step of the validation process is the appointment of the leader. So after the validation of the entity, and therefore the validation of the PIC, the entity has to appoint a leader. This operation is mandatory for all participants. LEAR stands for Legal Entity Appointed Representative, and is a person that is appointed by the legal representative of the entity to be the main contact person of the organization, to keep an overview of all the projects, the proposals, and the contracts in which your organization is involved in. And then the LEAR has many other roles and duties that you can find in this slide. Also, the LEAR can nominate the backups that are called account administrators in case they are not available. So for business continuity, there is always a person that can access into the PIC. This is the list of the main document that we request for the LEAR appointment. And here we have an important information, because I wanted to inform you that the communication with you, with your services, is done exclusively via the participant register. In fact, every time that in the validation service we want to get in touch with the organizations, we send a message, and there is a notification that you will receive via email that has this that is like this print screen here. This notification will reach the self-registrant in case of non-valid PIC, or the LEAR in case of valid PIC. So what happens if the organization loses access to a PIC? In case of declared PIC, so non-valid PIC, for example, when the self-registrant has left the organization and didn't appoint a backup, So in this case, a new PIC needs to be created and the central validation service has to be informed. In case of a valid PIC, if the layer is not available anymore, for example, and there are no account administrators as backups, what happens? A new layer has to be appointed to get access to the PIC. So for this, there is the layer recovery procedure that is accessible via the participant register. And you have here in this slide the link to get into this procedure. And in this case, the layer will be, the organization will be able to appoint a new layer, and then we get access to the valid PIC. At this point, I leave the floor to my colleague Florin for the financial part. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marika, for introducing us into the universe of participant validation. I just shared my screen. I'm not sure if you are seeing it on your screens. Can you please confirm it?
I see it very well. It's confirmed.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Florin Puiu, and in the following minutes, I'm going to explain the information about the financial capacity assessments. Please be informed that all these steps are done in parallel, although they are looking that one follows after the other. We do this in parallel. So I'll start my presentation by listing down the legal basis. We have three main documents. The first one is the financial regulation, in which we can find two very important articles stating that participants must have enough and stable sources of funding throughout the entire life of the projects. The second document is the rules on legal entity validation, legal appointment, and financial capacity assessments. And this document provides information concerning on how we implement the financial capacity assessments. Here you will find information about the document you have to provide us to perform this type of assessments. And the third document is specifically written for your corporate proposals. So please have a look on these documents. The first one is the legal basis and says why we have to implement the financial capacity assessments, while the second and the third documents, these are technical ones, and they provide information on how we do that. The financial capacity assessment is mandatory for all beneficiaries who request more than 60,000 euros. Everybody else who requests less than these amounts are exempt from being assessed financially, and also public bodies are not validated financially. We can also request information for other entities which are linked to the assessed participants if we find that there are significant business links. In these slides, we provide you information about the financial supporting documents. These are the accounting documents, the main ones, the balance sheets, the profit and loss accounts, and their annexes. We would like to have these annexes because in this document, we find information that is usually not reported in the balance sheet and in the profit and loss account, such as breakdowns on different items and so on. So if you have these annexes, please provide them to us. In case your organization requests the EU grant request of more than 750,000 euros, according to the financial regulation, we must have a higher assurance on the reliability of the accounts. This assurance is provided by a financial audit reports provided by an external auditor. So in this case, we need a financial audit report, not a compliance report, not a performance audit, or not a certificate on the financial statements. We need to have the financial audit report. So by now, you know that if your organization requested more than 750,000 euros, you will have to provide these financial audit reports. Let's suppose that your company is not big enough to be obliged to provide a financial audit report. In such a case, you'll be kindly asked to provide us a self-declaration on the accounts, by which you will declare that your accounts are valid and that no audit has been requested. The process is straightforward. We will request this type of documents for 2 years for the two most recent closed and approved financial years. In the official language, you don't have to translate them if we are talking about the EU languages, or provide us an unofficial translation for non-EU languages. You date and sign the documents and you provide them to us via the participant portal. For newly established entities and startups, we cannot evaluate past performance because they have not yet reported their first financial statements, but we will assess the business plan with the future performance. Once we complete this assessment, it will be valid for 18 months from the closing dates. It means that in case you apply for another action grant within these periods, you will not be assessed one more time because we can keep the previous financial assessments. In the participant portal, you have dedicated tabs with which you can communicate with us. In the financial capacity tab, you can provide us the necessary financial information, as I listed them earlier, the balance sheet, the profit and loss accounts, the annexes, or the audit reports. And in the tab messages, you will have the possibility to access our messages, our requests, and you will provide us information that we would need. We conclude our presentation on the participant validation, and we are ready here to reply to your questions if any. Thank you very much. Justina, you are muted.
Justina, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Basically, we didn't miss much. I was just thanking you very much, Maria, Domenico, and Florian, and asking not to run away, since we will have questions at the end, as you know. So thank you very much. And now I will ask Maria Sarella to give us an overview on how to submit the application, how the evaluation will happen, and what are the award criteria.
Thank you very much, Justina. Waiting for you to share the slides for me, please. So meanwhile, welcome also from my side. My name is Maria Sarella. I work at HaDEA, which is the granting authority for this call, the European Health and Digital Executive Agency. I will give you an overview of the more practical part on how to submit a proposal, award criteria, and some important tips. This is more targeted for newcomers, but please pay attention also if you are familiar with digital skills calls, because there have been some minor changes in part B and in the award criteria from the last call for digital skills. So wrap up of this call. So as we have already listened to the 3 topic-specific presentations, I just want to highlight again the available budget. Here it means the budget from our side, so the maximum grant amount. Each topic will fund one project. So, for example, in the case of Quantum Academy, which available budget is 10 million, it means your project budget can be the double, so 20 million or more. And with the funding rate 50%, we can give maximum 10 million for the project. Next slide, please. This is the overview of our timeline. Deadline for submission for all the topics is 2nd September. Evaluations will take place in September, November, and you will hear from us also both approved and rejected projects in November, and then we expect to sign the new projects in February next year. Next slide, please. Okay, where to start? Next slide, please. So you will find the call document and all the information about the call and all the 3 topics under the Funding and Tenders portal. You can access directly from the home page with the Find Calls and Proposals section, or from the Funding tab, making a search there. Next slide, please. So this search function have been improved, so it's quite easy, even with keywords, to find the calls in the portal. I have also included direct links in the slide, so it will be very easy for you to find the information. You can also search by the Digital Euro program if you wish. Next slide, please. Now, this is the landing page to a topic-specific section in the funding and tenders portal. So you will see the topic title on the upper side, and then the most important part here is the internal navigation. There's a loads of information about topic on the page. Everything is there. So the easiest way is to use the internal navigation to find your way. And of course, the most important part to start with is the conditions and documents section. So when you click there, next slide, please, you will find a section with all the documents, including the call document. You have to scroll down a bit in this section to find it. And you have the direct link here also in the slide. Next slide, please. The outline of the call document. So it's a one single document for all three topics. The first part of the call for proposals document includes specific information on each topic. This is really the most important part of the call document, including the objectives, scopes, outcomes and deliverables, KPIs, targeted stakeholders, and specific conditions. These were mostly outlined by the DG Connect colleagues for each topic at the beginning of today. Then, as of the section 3 of the call for proposals document, you will have sections that are common for all the topics. And there you also have to read those carefully, as there are some exceptions or different rules for each topic. This is very important, especially for the admissibility and eligibility criteria, because if you make a mistake there, your proposal will not be even evaluated. Next slide, please. So once you have studied the call document carefully, you have a consortium and you have to and you want to start actually filling in the application, you would go again to the call page. Please, next slide. Okay, so you would go again to the topic page, and in the internal navigation, select the Start Submission button. Before you do this, make sure you are selecting the right topic, as we have 3 under the same call. Just make sure you don't make a mistake and select the wrong topic. Next slide, please. Then the Start Submission will take you to the submission service. You will see a metro line on the top indicating you in which step you are in the process. And on the left-hand side, you have all the important information on the topic. Here, I would like to highlight the section for the download Part B templates. You need to use the template downloaded from the submission system. There will be a zip file with 2 different documents. One is the Part B, and one is the detailed budget table lump sum Excel. My colleague Rado will give you more details on how to work the detailed budget table, and I will focus more on the Part B. Then also to start really the submission, you fill in first the coordinator's validated PIC number, which will then enable you to start filling in the Part A of the proposal. Next slide, please. Okay, this is what I just said. You can move to the next slide, please. So the content on Part A and Part B and more in detail. You can go to the next slide, please. So Part A, these are online forms that are within the system. The system will guide you through completing them, and there's also a possibility to push this validation button, which gives you information if some information is missing or incorrect. So there's general information on the proposal, such as title, duration. Then you will also enter all the information of all applicants and the consortium members. There's a specific section for the total funding that you will request, and then a security issues table. This is very important. For the security issues table, you have a set of questions. If you answer yes in any of these questions, you will have to make a reference of the page in part B where you discuss these issues of security. This is to help the evaluators to evaluate your proposals for security. Next slide, please. Then the part B, as said, must be downloaded from the submission system. This is a template for the DEP projects. It's a common template. Here I would like to highlight that there are 3 sections in this template that are not applicable in this call. And this is something that is different from our previous digital skills call, so pay attention to that. The first 3 sections of part B, relevance, implementation, and impact, are exactly in line with the award criteria of this call. And also our call for proposals document very nicely details all the information that is expected to be filled in these 3 sections of part B. So while you write these sections, please keep the call document at hand and also carefully read the guidance that is included in the template so that you don't miss any points. Next slide, please. And the final sections of part B include the work plan, so mainly work packages, then ethics and security tables. Here, you don't have to fill ethics and security because ethics is not applicable and security goes directly to the part A, so you can leave them empty. Then there's an important section of declarations, which is obligatory to fill in for all proposals. And then at the end of the part B template, you will also find the template for the annex of a list of previous projects, which will be then uploaded as a separate document in the submission system. Part B page limit is 70 pages. This is very important as any excess page will not be taken into account in the evaluation. The annex on the list of previous project, as it is uploaded as a separate document, it does not count towards the page limit. Next slide, please. Okay, so once part A is filled in, so the online forms, once your part B is ready, once your detailed budget is ready and the list of previous projects, you can go ahead and do the actual submission in the system. These 3 documents are mandatory for this call. Very important not to miss any of them. And as I said, my colleague Rado will explain you more about the detailed budget table. Next slide, please. Also, as said, there's a validation button available in the submission system. You can click it as many times as you want during the process, and it will lead you to all errors or missing information, and you can directly access those to fix them. So before at least the final submission, make sure you do the validation and check that there are no blocking or any other errors in your application. Next slide, please. Then for the award criteria, we use the regular DEP award criteria, so relevant, implementation, and impact. And as I said, these criteria and the sub-criteria are all in line with the Part B application form. And again, in this specific call and for these 3 specific topics, there are 3 subsections which are not applicable. So you leave them empty in Part B and those will not be evaluated during the evaluation. You can see all these details in the call document section 2. Next slide, please. Then for the thresholds, our scoring goes from 0 to 3 for each individual criteria and from 0 to 15 at the level of the whole proposal. So to be able to be considered for funding, you must reach at least the score 3 in each independent criteria and an overall score minimum 10. This is also explained more in detail under the call document section 9 award criteria. So the pass score for proposals to be funded is 10, and at the same time you need to have minimum score 3 in each criteria. Next slide, please. Then for help, there's plenty of manuals and guidance available for you, and also an opportunity to send us questions. Next slide, please. Again, we would go to the topic specific page and the internal navigation. There's this topic Q&A section where, for example, those questions that you are asking today in the chat, those will be published. So really, I encourage you to bookmark the topic page and visit it regularly. Since we've been, we will gradually add more and more questions and answers on this specific topic. Then there's a Get Support section at the end as well, with a link to a form where you can send us questions when you indicate the specific topic and your question. Those will be forwarded directly to our team and you will be answered by email. Next slide. This is the Write to Us form, which opens from this Get Support section. Next slide, please. Then on the Funding and Tenders portal landing page, in the menu Guidance and Documents, next slide, please. You can find links to online manual and IT how-to, as well as IT help desk. So these are the main points to go first if you have any issues with your submission or don't understand something about the proposal submission process. So the online manual really explains step by step how the process is carried out, and then the IT how-to really gives you like screenshots and even videos to guide you through. I have included direct links to the relevant sections here. Then IT help desk, you can reach them if you find any technical problems with the system. Next slide, please. I think it's okay. Final tips. Most importantly, admissibility requirements. When you work with your Part B and when you work with your detailed budget table, make sure they are readable and working well before uploading them in the system. Please also make sure you don't take a copy of an old proposal, but you always download the latest version from the submission system. As these are living documents, there are some minor updates done in the templates very frequently. Then also list of previous projects. Don't forget it. It's a mandatory annex, and you can find the template format for it in the Part B document. Then for eligibility, consortium composition is a must. So if you don't comply with the minimum requirements that are set in the call, we will not go forward with the evaluation of your proposal. So make sure you reach the minimum target. And then someone was asking before in the chat about maximum number of participants. There's none. So it's really the minimum requirement that has to be respected to be able to be eligible. Next slide, please. Then again about the security issues table, which can be found in the part A in the online forms. It's obligatory to fill it in. Please pay attention to answering correctly all these questions. And if you answer yes, make sure that you explain it a bit more in your part B and make a reference to the part B page in the security table. Then, as also said already, the award criteria is in line with the part B sections, and then the call document scope details all the requested information under each topic for the 3 different main sections of the part B. So this should be all carefully included in your proposal. Next slide, please.
Maria, I will just briefly jump in. We are a little bit running out of time, so if you can be...
Yeah, I believe this is the last slide. Again, page limit is 70. And then please submit before the deadline. You can submit several times, only the last submission will be taken into account. So make these test submissions. Then just a final word on double funding. So there are some systems that can detect if there are similarities between proposals, so that should be avoided. I think this is all from me.
Thank you, Maria, very much. I know there had been quite some questions, so please stay with us till the end. You know that.
I will, don't worry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I will ask Radoslav Jakub to jump in and inform us how can participants prepare their lump sum budgets. I know this is still quite a question every now and then, also with past calls. So I hope that will help people to orientate in lump sums.
Justina, thanks for the floor. Once more, good morning to everyone. My name is Radoslav Jakub. I am colleague of Maria. I will continue with this presentation to give you more practicalities about filling the detailed budget lump sum. But my presentation will start more about the general approach. You know that for all the 3 topics, the type of action is lump sum with 50% co-financing from the EU funding. So we can go to the next slide, basically to say that why the lump sum was included into the digital year program, and especially to the digital skills. The experience from the actual cost grants was still that they are error prone. After financial audit, there were some recovery cuts. It was difficult to implement and to apply financial management explicitly by the small enterprises, so they were sometimes discouraged to participate in the proposals, in the calls. So therefore it was decided to apply the new method, lump sum method. At the beginning to say, yeah, it's the same. You have heard already from Maria that there are same abortion criteria, same refinancing and payments, same reporting periods and technical reporting. So this is not so much change, but what is the change? There are no financial audits. Then in addition, the work package is paid when it is completed. So payments depend on the completion of the activities mentioned in the grant agreement, not on the successful outcomes. In addition, okay, there could be also possible amendments during the implementation, because this is the life, changes sometimes happen, but please know that no amendments are allowed that would call into decision to award the funding to the proposal. And at the end, the performance of the lump sum grant is not judged more strictly than one of other type grants like actual cost grants. So we can go to the next slide. here we need to stop. We are slightly behind, but I will not cut on the important information. And this is important information to understand that we have two types of the lump sum. First lump sum is fixed. Type 1 is the lump sum that it is fixed in the call for proposals. So what does it mean? The amount of the budget, the lump sum payment is prescribed and indicated in the proposal for the specific activities. And this is called prefixed lump sum grant. Let's go to the type 2 that is relevant for you. It's a type 2 of lump sum. It's when you define the lump sum budget in your proposal. And you will do this by using a detailed budget table that is provided in Microsoft Excel with the macros. So please remember, when you will be filling the part B of the proposal, there will be some sections. In some sections, it will be indicated that this part is not relevant for the prefixed lump sum grant. Don't take this into account because under this call, the type 2 is implemented. We can go to the next slide. So here I can go more quickly because this information was already stressed by Maria. Use the templates provided from the submission system. You will need to provide detailed breakdown of cost estimation by beneficiary and by work package. This we will discuss more in detail later on. The cost estimation will be based on the information encoded. There will be a breakdown, a lump sum generated automatically. So the most important part of this slide to remember is that detailed budget table is compulsory and not to be forgotten, because otherwise the proposal would be ineligible. So next slide. You are at the stage when you think about the project design, about the work packages, how many to design for your proposal. Please think that work package is a major subdivision of the work plan. It's not a single activity or task. It's not measuring the progress. It should not be based only on the progress or lapse of time. It's generally not a working package. However, please note, as indicated earlier, the work package is paid once it is fully completed at the interim stage. At the final stage, the work packages will be also paid that are could be paid if they are not fully but only partially completed. The lump sum will be adapted to the completion of the work package. Here to say that there could be some work packages that last the whole duration period of the project. So this could be 48 months. According to the context. So you may consider to split work packages as project management or dissemination and exploitation work package to 2 or 3 work packages in order to claim the work package complete and to have possibility to receive interim payment. One more important thing to say here, when you will consider this design of the work packages, the pre-financing payment for this call is normally it is 65%. So after signing the grant agreement, you will receive within 30 days 65% of the lump sum grant. So we can go ahead with the next slide. Here we are getting to the extracts from the detailed budget table. So as it was said, you download it from the submission system. You need to read the instructions on the first tab. I will not be reading now them all. I will some of them mention during my presentation, but please make sure that you read them. You need to use the Microsoft Excel 2013 or 2016 at least. So it could be also more recent version, and all the budget estimations are provided in euro. So this cost estimation, we can go also to the next slide, please. The cost estimations needs to be provided based on the basic eligibility rules of Digital Euro program and for the cost for the actual cost grants. So they should be in line with the beneficiaries' normal practices. They should be reasonable and not excessive. Of course, in line with the activities proposed, because this will be assessed during the evaluations, and should be of an approximation of the actual cost. There are 4 cost categories to be provided as for the actual cost grants. Usually, direct personal costs. This is for employees or equivalent natural person under direct contract, seconded persons and SME owners. Then the next category, subcategory is subcontracting costs. The third category is direct purchase cost, and then the last category is other direct costs. But we will go through these categories in more detail when we will be discussing what needs to be filled in the detailed budget table. So we can go to the next slide. So first, when you will download the table, and I would like to recommend you to start as early as possible to make yourself familiar with this table, detailed budget table. In Microsoft Excel, you will need to encode the beneficiaries. So you will you have their tab that is called list of beneficiaries and affiliated entities. You will encode the name of the beneficiary, country, and the funding rate. Funding rate is for all 50%. You have to choose the right country, and please keep the acronyms and names of the beneficiaries the same as they are in part A of the proposal. This I will stress one more again later on. You can also add affiliated entity by double click on the button add affiliated entity to beneficiary X. So you see it, these highlights that are provided. But as I said, you can make yourself very quickly familiar with these operations. And then at the end, once you have completed beneficiary list, you must double click to apply the changes button. So maybe a trial this after double click to apply changes. In the Excel workbook, the one tab will be generated for each beneficiary. So we have the beneficiaries, let's say, in the detailed budget table, and we can move to the work packages, which the process is more or less the same. So we go to the next slide. Again, you list the work packages that you considered, of course, before. You put them as many as needed, as necessary. You will double click on the add work package. And then once you have all the work packages, you click on the apply changes. So the process is the same. And then for each beneficiary tab that was already generated, also the list of all work packages will be generated. So you still work in the Microsoft Excel detailed budget table. You still work in the format that enables the macros to work. We can go to the next slide. And once this was generated, you can see here the extract from the table. It's just for an example. So you will need to complete this tab for each beneficiary to insert the amounts, the budget amounts, and the units. So, and the instructions here are that you need to enter only the number of units and the cost per unit, and the rest is calculated automatically. So you encode to each category of costs. We have 4 categories of costs, as mentioned earlier, but we will go through them. Then enter only the whole numbers, not some decimals. If the beneficiary does not contribute to specific work package, leave the cells simply empty. So don't start to put everywhere zeros and to spend more time than needed on these tables. If beneficiary has an affiliated entity that needed to be inserted and on the list of beneficiaries tab, then the columns will appear also automatically, and you encode the data also for the affiliated entity in the same way as you do for the beneficiary. One more information, if you click on the view summary tab that is highlighted in green, this should take you down to the sum of all work packages per beneficiary. So we can go now ahead to another slide. And here we have exactly the extract just to see the first cost category, that it is personal cost. You need to insert the person months. So the person months or units are in fact the person months that you encode here for each category of staff. You see that there are different categories of staff as senior, junior, expert, technical personnel, administrative personnel, and others. This is for information also for experts to assess what are the salaries. So in the column cost per person month, it's in fact the salary that you budget for one person month for a specific category of staff. And please be reminded that this will be assessed by the evaluators. I will give you some tool later on. So and there are also the possibility to encode the person months for SME owners, so a natural person. So if you have beneficiaries that are SME owners, they should encode here the person months, and the cost per person months are calculated automatically based on the regulation for salaries and costs for the SME owners. So we can go to the next slide. As I said before, the cost, average salary cost, and the cost for work package per beneficiary and will be assessed by the evaluators. And in order to give you some tool, whether to assess them, whether they are not excessive, there is a Horizon dashboard available. This Horizon dashboard provides information about the average personal cost in actual cost grants. So it takes the information from the actual cost grants for person months and provides the information about average salary costs. So if we go to the next slide, here you have the link to this to the Horizon dashboard. In order to compare your costs, please consider to do following. This is the extract directly from the Horizon dashboard. This Horizon dashboard does not extinguish or distinguish between the category of staff. However, there are costs per country, per type of entities. So, for example, for private entities, public entities, research institutions, universities. So, in order to see whether your costs are not excessive or they need not excessive, but let's say whether they need additional justification, please go to this Horizon dashboard, select the type of entity and country. Then you will see this information on the monthly average salary cost. So what you can see it here, it's a 20th percentile. And what does it mean? In this country, for the given type of entity, 20% of the person months declared under the actual cost grants in Horizon were paid, were accepted, respectively reimbursed at level of 3,000, below than 3,080 euro. Then you have 50th percentile median, so 50% of person months for this country and for this type of entity were reimbursed at level average 4,110 euro. And then you have 80th percentile, that is 5,000 euro. The same way, 80% of person months were paid below, were reimbursed to the beneficiaries below 5,000 euro. So in this case, if you see that you have a senior expert working on the project, his salary is substantially higher than 5,000 euro, please just try to justify this cost. Of course, the project is implemented 48 months. We cannot, it's difficult to, you need to also project to take into account in your estimations, inflation or development of salaries in your organization. So this could be higher, but please don't forget, if it is substantially higher than this percentage here, so for the administrative and other staff, higher than 20th percentile, for junior experts and technical staff, higher than 50th percentile, or for senior experts, higher than 80th percentile, please justify this cost in the detailed budget table, and we will see later on there. So we can move to the next slide.
I'm just reminding you that we are close to the time.
Okay.
So I know it's important.
Next slide.
I'm giving you a few extra minutes, but just be aware.
So this was the longest. Now we can go much quicker. Because, as you know, personal costs, they are having a significant share in any of the digital skills proposals. So another cost category is direct subcontracting cost. The way is the same. You will put the units. So there are two subcontractings, for example, 2, and the amount. Of course, per work package, there could be 2 subcontractings with different amounts. So what you do, you will put the average amount in order to reach the budget, to have the same budget. However, in the part B of the proposal, you will provide more information about the exact estimated cost for these 2 subcontractings. You can move. The same for the direct purchase cost that includes travel and subsistence, equipment cost, and other goods, works, and services. The same it is for the units. If these costs are higher than 15% of the share of the personal cost, you need to put more information in part B for purchases and equipment in the table. So again, you go through part B of the proposal, you will need to encode this information. Let's go for the next slide, because in the detailed budget table, we have one more tab for the depreciation cost. As you know, depreciation costs are eligible under these topics. But for this, you need to encode information for the category of equipment into this tab in order to calculate the depreciation costs. So you go through that there is a number of beneficiary name, work package, description, which is the type of the equipment, short name of the equipment. You need to put the date of the purchase, then the purchase cost, and then you need to fill in the percentage of the used for the project. So it could be 100%, or it could be used less. And then you need to calculate the percentage of useful life of the equipment in the project to obtain the correct value. Divide the period in months during which the equipment is used for the project by the depreciation period for the equipment in question, and multiply this result by 100. This information is not automatically taken into the tables for beneficiaries and cost categories. So you need to encode the units and the costs calculated here for each beneficiary work package. Okay, we go further. Next slide. The last category of the costs, it's other direct costs and indirect costs. This includes financial support to the third parties. Again, this is eligible under this call, and internally invoiced goods and services. The way to insert these costs is the same as for the previous categories. In addition, there are also automatically calculated indirect costs, and for each beneficiary and work package, and then sum of all work packages, you will see the total costs that are calculated also automatically. We move to the next slide. So here it is, additional tab in the detailed budget table. It's lump sum breakdown, where the lump sums per each beneficiary and each work package are generated automatically, and they are also summed up. They are, of course, calculated with the funding rate 50%. And here, the most important is to remember that in the part A of the application, you must fill in the budget table, entering the requested total grant amount for each participant. So not the total costs for the participant, but 50% of the lump sum that it is calculated from the total cost. We can go ahead. And then, of course, there is also another summary that comes from the encoded information for each beneficiary work package, and this relates to the person months overview. So again, you can see per each beneficiary and per each work package how much person months were encoded, were inserted. So this will be used during the evaluations. Next slide. The last tab in the detailed budget table is any comments tab. Please use this tab when you see that there are high personal costs. As I said already, compared to the Horizon dashboard, you need to explain more information about use of some experts, etc. Please put it here. There are high travel costs. We don't see from the units and the budgeted cost per travel what this includes. So if it's high, please explain this, and the same for the equipment costs. But information could be also encoded into the previous tab for the calculation of the depreciation costs. Next slide. And here we are getting to the end. So we have 2-3 slides only.
If you can do it in 1 minute with 3 slides.
1 minute, okay, so even more quickly. But this I said already. So you work with the detailed budget table, you keep the format XLSM that allows the macros. If you are going to upload the detailed budget table into the submission portal, you need to change the format to XLSX or XLS. But please keep always for you the original XLSM file format. Next slide. So this is a beta repetition, therefore I can do it quickly. Your proposal will be evaluated by the independent experts against the standard evaluation criteria. This budget will be assessed under the implementation criteria. The evaluators will look whether the budget estimates are reasonable and non-excessive. If they find the overestimated cost, they will propose the cuts. These recommended cuts by the experts, they don't have impact on the scoring under the implementation criteria. However, please know that if there are really flawed budget structure or clearly highly overestimated, underestimated cost lump sum, there could be some impact affecting the score. Next slide. So important tips: keep the Part A for Part A budget, insert the requested grant amount, keep the same name in the Part A for each beneficiary, and then the same name for the detailed budget table. This needs to be because experts are comparing and looking for the information. Use the horizon dashboard for the personal costs if they are going beyond and below the established indicated thresholds. And of course, use the Any Comment tab for further explanations, clarifications. And we are getting to the end.
Thank you very much, Radoslav. Thank you.
So that's the final slide, and I pass the floor.
I think you are really good in speaking very fast, but still very clearly and understandably. So thank you so much for this. And then the final presentation, after which we will answer some of your questions, is by Evdokia Galianu, and she will explain us about the step seal. So Evdokia, please go ahead and be mindful of time.
Yes, hello. So I'll try to be quick here to catch up a bit of the timing. After you've heard all the technical details on how to apply in the call, I would like to take a step back and introduce you to a new Commission initiative that was agreed in last year in March 2024. Can I have the first slide, please? It's the STEP Strategic Technologies for Europe platform initiative that is not a new fund. It's a new way of working in a more synergetic manner by bringing together and articulating resources from the direct, indirect, and shared management funds. So 11 different existing programs managed under all these three ways come together to support Europe's competitiveness, to support Europe in the race for strategic critical technologies. And of course, why I'm saying all that, because skills is a very significant priority. It's the second objective of STEP, as you will see below. We cannot speak about competitiveness without thinking about how to skill the people in these strategic technologies. And all this new way of work under the STEP umbrella will be also a pilot for a new competitiveness fund in the future MFF as announced by the Commission President. Let's go down a bit more in the next slide in a few more details. So here you can see already what I said. STEP is very much about supporting the development or manufacturing of critical technologies and safeguarding, strengthening their value chains. That's the first objective. But the second objective is also addressing shortages of labor and skills. We have some conditions in order to name if a technology is critical or not, innovativeness or contributing, reducing or preventing strategic dependencies in the Union. And then on the next side, you will see the sector, digital and deep tech innovation. This is the sector that is relevant for this call, but we also have biotech and clean technologies. So just to sum it up in one phrase, we are here today to you. Why? Because under the STEP sectors, the digital technologies are very important. In the guidance note that we published on the 13th of May, last year, and we explained which technologies we can safely say that are critical for EU's competitiveness and for reducing strategic dependencies. There are the technologies that you have been discussing today, so like quantum, artificial intelligence, and virtual worlds. So we consider that these technologies are critical, and thus the skills that support and all the actions that will reinforce and address the shortages of labor and skills in these critical technologies fall also under the umbrella of STEP. If we go to the next slide, please. Just to tell you here very quickly that we have 4 tools that the STEP regulation has allowed us. One is the pooling of resources that we'll explain later on how this interaction between funds that are in different management modes works in practice. Then we have the STEP portal. The STEP portal is the place to go if you want to get all the relevant information about the critical technologies and in the sectors that I just explained. It includes also skills, and in the STEP portal you will be able to find all the calls that are available around Europe in all topics that are covered by the STEP regulation, be it calls for proposals at the EU level like the one that we discussed today, but be it also calls at the national level. So you will see later on the interaction with the cohesion policy and the shared management resources. These calls are also under the STEP portal, and you're able to filter the information per country or per policy area. Then you have the step seal that I will not say anything now because I will explain it a bit later on. And one stop shop, it's us. If you have any question related to STEP, to the initiative, you can always contact us. We have also national contact points in all the member states for the STEP initiative. Let's go a bit to the next slide to see now the interaction between the funding. So you have the 11 programs that I mentioned that are under the STEP umbrella. On the left side are the EU programs. So here we are in direct management. The Commission launches calls for proposals and evaluates the projects. And you can see the Digital Europe program, which is the relevant one for today's discussion. On the right side, what we're trying to do is to bridge this funding from the direct management, but also from the other management modes. So we have the cohesion policy, the European Regional Development Fund, European Social Fund, the Just Transition Fund, the RRF, and the InvestEU. And we're trying also to pool resources for the same purposes from these other 6 programs that are not managed directly by the Commission. What makes the bridge between these programs is the STEP seal that we will see later on how we can get it. Let's go then to the next slide. So how does the STEP seal work? You have already the 5 programs under direct management, including Digital Europe program that you can see on the left side. What we're doing every year together with colleagues responsible, the next slide. Responsible, the DGs like DG Connect here, responsible for the programs, is that we're looking at the work programs and we are naming, labeling the calls that are aligned with the STEP objectives that I showed earlier to be named as STEP calls. And the call here, the one that we're discussing today, is a STEP call because, as I explained, the academies with offering advanced digital skills fall within the STEP objectives. So what happens, you will have the call for proposals, you will be evaluated, and then under this specific STEP call, the projects that comply with the minimum quality requirements of the call, they get directly the STEP seal. The STEP seal is awarded to all projects that have reached this minimum threshold, minimum quality requirements, be it funded or unfunded. So those that they have also, it's not only about the reserve list projects, as the Seal of Excellence, for example, but it's also about the projects that have received funding from the call. You can see in the slide that it's valid throughout the duration of the project, and voila, there are some conditions when you can lose the STEP seal. But what does the STEP seal mean now for the right side of programs that we saw in the slide before? It gives some priority, some administrative benefits to some other programs. For example, on cohesion policy funds, in particular ERDF and ESF, the managing authorities can directly award support to STEP seal projects, of course, if they align with the objectives of the fund of the specific program. Under the RRF, the projects with the seal need to be considered with priority for funding when the authorities will revise the RRPs, the recovery and resilience programs, to give a possibility to put them in the spotlight for possible funding. I have highlighted here the InvestEU because under InvestEU there is also some financial products implemented a little bit differently through implementing partners, mainly the EAF here, that are relevant for skills. And here there are some kind of administrative facilitations in the process of taking these STEP seals into account. Let's go to the next step now, to the next slide. No, just one thing, maybe still on the previous slide, that I forgot to mention, that once you will get the results in the evaluation letter, you will also get the STEP seal, and you will receive also a request for consent on our side. Why this? Because in the STEP portal that I mentioned earlier, we also publish all the STEP seals to facilitate this bridge of funding between the different sources. So if you give your consent, you will be able to feature in our STEP portal. If you don't give your consent, we will not be able to publish in the STEP portal. So please pay attention to that as well.
Yes, Doc, if I can just ask that you try to summarize quickly the remaining slides.
This is my last slide, so
Perfect.
no worries. This is my last slide. So there is just see here, there are some final remarks about the use and the advantages of the STEP seal. As I said earlier, it gives access to alternative and cumulative funding, depending if you have gotten already funding from the EU relevant program. Of course, here we need to consider some elements. Then I have to tell you as a parenthesis that the national and regional authorities have massively reprogrammed resources for STEP, including for STEP skills. So they may be also available resources already, even without the seal, in your region and or your member state. And this is something that I advise you to go and have a look as well. Now, if you get the seal, the funding rate we've heard, it's 50% in this case, so you may need some additional funding. So again, shift to your regional and national authorities. A consideration here is the multi-beneficiary approach. There are some technical ways and guidelines that we have issued on how to give and use the seal in the cases of multi-beneficiary projects. But overall, just to say that the STEP seal, we've been pushing it everywhere around Europe. So in a way, it gives also visibility of the project. We promote it to our national and regional stakeholders as well. We promote it to private investors, to national promotional banks. And of course, we also publish them in other portals like the InvestEU portal, from which you can get some other kind of advisory service. So in a way, we're doing a massive promotion of the STEP seal in public and private and other stakeholders to be able to facilitate your way to funding or other types of support. And with this, I think I can close the presentation.
Thank you very much, Evdokia. Thank you so much. So now we will take a few minutes longer, not so much, but a couple of minutes just to answer as many questions as we can. And as promised, for the rest of them, especially those that require a bit longer explanation, we will try to answer them in writing. So I will ask all colleagues who presented to get ready. Meanwhile, could I have the next slide, please? Yes, so our today's event is just one of them, and there will definitely be more info days in the future. This is why we would like to ask you to join our survey on Mentimeter, and my colleagues will also put the link in the chat, or you can use the QR code here, and give us a little bit of feedback, perhaps something that could be improved in the future, something that you really liked and would like to see in the future events. So please feel free to shoot any comments, feedback, recommendations that you have, and we will be very glad to consider that in our future events. This survey will be open until Monday, end of business. So you have time, you don't need to do it now, because I guess exactly now you are interested in questions and answers. But please help us to improve the events and give us feedback. So I will start with questions. There are quite some. I'm trying to group them also a little bit so that we can answer as much as we can in the next couple of minutes. So maybe we can start with one that is asking what should be the duration of the projects? What is the maximum duration? I guess it's mostly for Maria.
Yes, one moment. It's indicated in the call text. 1 second. Maybe you can take another question. Meanwhile, I will find the exact number of months meanwhile.
Okay, so maybe we can try the funding related questions so that you can be free for this moment. So the question is, will there be any reporting or audit to check the 50% co-funding?
No, there will be no audit on this. So the own funding, 50%, can be organized as the projects see fit. So we will not audit those costs. On the duration for Quantum, And for virtual worlds academies, the project duration is expected 48 months. And for the GenAI Academy, the indicative duration is 48 months. So there's a bit more flexibility on that.
Great. Thank you. When we have again a lot of questions, we had some also before during specific call presentations, but maybe we can highlight once again how many proposals are planned to be funded under each of the 3 calls.
So for each topic, we foresee to fund 1 project. So 3 in total, 1 per topic.
Perfect. Then there were quite some questions about eligibility of different entities. So we can start wherever development organizations and agencies would be eligible.
Okay, here it's maybe a bit difficult to give direct answer as we don't see the legal type of the entity, but this is also listed in the call document. I will find the exact page so applicants can check all the types of eligible entities there. 1 second.
Perfect. There were also quite some government agencies that were asking, so I guess we can also find answer in that specific part of the document. When there was question, because you mentioned that I believe it's in part A, there is a question where we need to fill in any other related projects or initiatives that they have. And the question was, should it be only EU-funded projects or can we include other national-funded or international projects we are doing?
Okay, so indeed the call requests for all topics a list of previous projects. This goes to part B, not part A. So in the end of the part B template, you will find a table format to be filled in. This can include also national or other international projects, not only EU-funded projects. After filling in this table, it should be saved as a separate document in PDF and then uploaded in the submission system. So it's not filled in directly in the part A online forms, but it's uploaded as a separate document.
Good, thank you. And then what qualifies as an own contribution of 50%? Is there a detailed list of what it could be?
No. This doesn't have to be declared anywhere, so it's up to the consortium to find the other half of the funding.
Yeah, but there will be also written reply to this question.
Yes, I think there are quite some questions also asking, is it just one specific partner or all consortium should divide this? How can beneficiaries exactly fulfill this? So I guess since there will be a written reply, we can jump to other questions. There is a question on the step seal, so I guess, Dokia, it would go to you. Is step seal valid to all project consortium or just the coordinator?
It is valid to the whole project consortium. So it's
Perfect.
a project. The
That's
step
very
seal
clear.
goes to the project, actually. It doesn't go to one or the other of the actors, but to the project.
Perfect. Then we also have, again, more questions about eligibility of entities. So you will get that in writing. Please do not.
Yeah, I can just direct you to the section 6 eligibility of the call document. You have there a list of eligible participants, first stating the countries. There's a list of participating countries, including those countries that are associated to the DEP program. And then you have quite a long list of type of entities that are eligible. So section 6, eligibility, starting on page 36 of the call document.
And then maybe on the same note, there is a question of who are considered as higher education institutions. Is it only universities or is it a wider understanding?
Here, I think it's better we find a more detailed definition and answer in writing.
Perfect. There was a question about students from non-EU. So could they take part in, for example, piloting, rolling out of provided training programs?
Do policy colleagues have replied to that maybe?
We can also provide this in writing if there is no answer at the given moment.
Okay.
Absolutely. Then another question is about that institute, but perhaps it can be any entity that already has valid PIC number, but LEAR is not yet approved. Can this entity still be a part of consortium or submit the proposal?
Yes, at the submission stage, there's no problem, even if the LEAR is not validated yet. Yeah.
Good. So I think we covered most of the questions. As I mentioned, there are still more about clarifying issue of 50% co-funding. So that will be in writing. And since there are really a lot about different entities eligibility, please check the document that is kindly pinpointed to you, even a specific part by Maria, and you will find more detailed information about this. So I think since we are already a few minutes after 12, I thank you all very much for your presentations, your time, and also all the answers kindly provided to these questions. Meanwhile, we are thanking also our audience for your very active participation, for your questions. And I will ask to show the next slide in our presentation, because as mentioned before, many of you are asking how can you network. Many of you have presented yourselves. Many interesting contacts are already made. But if you want to continue this discussion and contact each other, there are 3 different sections that will be open in Digital Skills and Jobs platform. So you can find them there, and you can talk to those interested in each specific call on the platform. In addition to this, can I get the previous slide of also matchmaking? Thank you. In addition to this, on 28th of May, there will be a matchmaking session exactly for the Sectoral Digital Skills Academies. So you will have an online tool where you can register, pick up your interested partners that you want to talk to, and then do the usual matchmaking of 20 minutes or so slots where you can discuss already your ideas. So we encourage you, first of all, to continue the discussion in the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. And secondly, in our communication email, you will get all the information about how to register and where to find this matchmaking event as the next step. So don't worry, we will continue with this, and you will have a chance to network and build your consortia further. With that, I would like to conclude today's event. Thank you all, both speakers and participants, once again. And we are looking forward to see you in our future events in matchmaking, and also in the future info days, as well as I believe European Commission is looking forward to receiving many applications for these free calls. Thank you so much. And also don't forget the feedback in our Mentimeter.